No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Good morning to you. This is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. We're going to have Jay Tuss joining us shortly. A lot to get to today as we continue to get closer to the Portland State game against Boise State on Saturday. We got the Pac-12 rumors. We see Air Force maybe looking to leave. We see some teams looking to come in potentially in Tulane and Memphis. A lot of reports and rumors and things out there. So we'll get to those here on Bronco Nation News Live. Thought about wearing the button-down collared shirt today for Spencer Danielson, but I'll probably wait till Thursday when we have our next media availability with him. Loved the shout out there. I don't know why it's so surprising that I dressed up a little bit for a press conference, but got called out on that. So having fun. And yeah, if you missed any of the press conference yesterday with Spencer, that is available on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. You can go there as well. So trying something new, by the way. Go ahead and announce it now. But we have a way that you can now leave voicemails. You can now leave a voicemail to Bronco Nation News. We're not going to straight take calls. Probably not a good idea to take live calls, especially on a post-game show after you guys have been drinking, having a good time. There's trolls out there that don't like me. I'm sure they'll leave some great voicemail, great live comments. So without a call screener, we're not going to be able to take live calls, but we are going to take a shot at voicemails. So if you would like to leave a voicemail, we think this is mostly going to be used on the post-game show, but and the pregame show, but certainly we can do it during the week as well. So we got one in there already today. Our man Brian is going to be first up, but if you do have any kind of thoughts on the Pac-12, the Portland State game, what you heard yesterday from any of the coaches, if you can keep it clean, no cussing, we can try to give it a shot and get a couple on the air today. But again, the website is right there, speakpipe.com/BNN. You just leave a voicemail. It's easy. And it's kind of like, calling into a radio station, but you're just leaving a voicemail, and then we'll get to it, and we'll try a couple of those here moving forward. We do have one from Brian that we'll play in a minute, but again, trying something new. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be a a disaster, but thought maybe we can take your comments. Maybe we try to take some voice recordings as well and get your thoughts on what's going on with Boise State. We are in the Western Collective studios. Shout out Western Collective, their new Horseshoe Golden Ale and the new Orange Chaos Seltzer. Make sure you check out the new Orange Chaos Seltzer, which will be available along with that Horseshoe Golden Ale on Saturday at Albertson Stadium for the home opener against Portland State. You see I'm wearing the rowpaint.com polo today. Our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Check them out, roepaint.com. All your painting needs, you can check them out. Our title sponsor, we appreciate Andy Rowe and company at rowpaint.com. I'm going to bring in our man, Jay Tuss, sports director over at KTVB. Jay, you got called out for celebrating the Apple Cup. I got called out for wearing a collared shirt. Apparently, there was a lot of shenanigans at the press conference yesterday, but appreciate you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Did you go to the Apple Cup, by the way?
No, I didn't. Didn't go to the Apple Cup. Watched it with some family back home, which was just kind of the perfect way this weekend to kind of consume that.
You were going back home for a couple of days on the bye week, and I saw the game was in Seattle, and I was like, oh man, I wonder if that would have been tough to not find a way to go.
We thought about it, but yeah, was here specifically for some family stuff this weekend, so didn't get a chance to go up there. But like I said, got to watch it with family, and a lot of my family went to Washington State, so it was kind of the perfect cure for the weekend, I would say. And also the outcome was pretty fantastic too. So we don't, man, being Cougs, we don't get a lot of these moments, so we soak them up while we can. You know what I mean? Hey,
you had a much better weekend for your alma mater than I did. So enjoy it while you can. Definitely.
Yeah, that was kind of a rough one. One of those things that's good for the Mountain West, not so good for your alma mater. But heck, I'm probably going to be in that situation here in about a week and a half, anyways, when Washington State visits the Blue. That's going to be an awesome game, by the way. Like I kind of chalked that one up to the Broncos, and kind of seeing the way that the Washington State Cougars are playing earlier this year, that might be a little bit more of a fight than I initially gave them credit for.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to be any shenanigans. I wonder if Jay Tuss is going to be allowed at practice next week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. In the past, it hasn't really mattered, but Washington State week, we saw your Go Cougs tweets and stuff. I wonder if those will be blown up on the the board or anything when Spencer Danielson talks next month. I don't know. I've never had to experience that. I've never had to experience that. My alma mater playing the team I cover. You've done it before. You've covered a game against them there at their stadium. Certainly a interesting dynamic that I'm not sure how I would handle if I ever had to do that, but we can get into more of that next week.
All right. Yeah. I'll in short, I'll just say this. Every time it's happened, it's actually been way easier than I thought, because as you know, BJ, we're so consumed by work. It's not until really Sunday that I wake up and go, oh man, the Cougs either lost or won. And I promise, that's the way that it is. And there's only one team that can actually take me to the college football playoff. So I'll leave it at that too.
You're smart.
Yeah.
All right. The press conference yesterday, there was a lot of interesting comments and thoughts. And I guess the first thing is that the game is proceeding on as scheduled. And they heard what they needed to hear from, the doctors and folks and the folks that were impacted or exposed or are going through their 5-day regimen or whatever, and with the proper things. And they're supposed to be ready to go. But I did think this was an interesting comment, and we're going to get into the Pac-12. There's some rumors about Tulane and Memphis and already being front runners, and Air Force talking to the AAC. So we'll get into all that here shortly. Dirk Koetter, his non-answer regarding possible points of improvement for Maddox Madsen, thought it was a strange interaction. I don't have the clip ready to play right now. I know you were kind of in and out yesterday with the press conference. As I said, you're technically off. Did you see, not to put you on the spot, but did you see the what we're talking about here?
I saw most of everything yesterday. I wasn't able to hang on for all of Dirk, but all I'll say like this is,
how about you fill for a minute, and I'll get it in the system.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on brand for Dirk. Like he doesn't really buy into some of the storylines that are generated or created or fabricated or not. I mean, in this case, there's some, when you go 17 of 40, there's concern about your passing game, no doubt. And whether that's the QB, the wide receivers, everybody contributes to that. So Dirk's never been one to, super divulge in some of the hot storylines. And so it doesn't really surprise me. And honestly, I really don't read too much into that. You could read into other things, but I don't really read too much into Dirk's response to that. So we'll see. I mean, I know Spencer Danielson also talked about the wide receivers and stuff yesterday, and as a whole, they got to get better. And I think that the second half of that game, it was a tough one against Oregon State where I believe Maddox started 12 of 19, and from that moment on, he was 5 of 21. So I think Oregon played a lot of man coverage in the second half, and so there's things like that I guess also will open up the run game. I mean, Ashton Genty, went off in the second half of that Oregon game. So um, yeah, we'll see how they improve moving forward and what Dirk has to say down the road, I guess, though, BJ.
Yeah. Okay. But Maddox Madsen, and while I find this clip, they did say, hey, the starter is Maddox Madsen. He's our guy.
Mhm.
Malachi's going to continue to improve. Not really surprising there, but did you take any,
Yeah.
there was really no talk about Malachi Nelson getting time in this game. I think we all believe, hey, if the score gets out of hand, we can maybe see Malachi Nelson get in there, but that maybe is more of a, hey, you always take your quarterback out and put the backup in a blowout, not necessarily any kind of path to changing the quarterback here.
Yeah, one thing I will say that Spencer Danison brought up, and man, I feel like I've brought this up a number of times. I feel like I've been talking about it for weeks. Is how quickly Max Matson gets the ball out of his hands, and I know that to a lot of people out there that might not seem like a lot. I know there are people out there that hate the completion percentage argument. That kind of went out the window also against Oregon when you go 17-40, but again, with this ground game, if you can prevent situations where you are 3rd and 8 and behind the chains, if you can not take sacks and things like that is so big for this offense in this rushing attack where it always makes it a threat. You always know that Ashton Genty and Syer Gaines and I believe soon to be Breezy Dubar, those guys are always going to be threats. And so that's certainly one thing. Sorry about that. That's certainly one thing that Maddox Matson brings to the table with this offense, and I think it's huge for this offense. And I think it's a big reason why they have so much faith in him. And let's not forget too, like Maddox puts the offense in good spots by simply checking at times and stuff like that. And I mentioned it on the show right after the Oregon game, or maybe it was even this Georgia Southern game. A lot of that stuff, it's not necessarily him going up and audibling, but it's a check. Like he sees something and he gets the offense in a better position and a better situation to succeed because of it. So like it doesn't always show up in stats, I guess, what Maddox Matson brings to the table. That being said, you can't go 17-40 moving forward if you want to be a college football playoff contender.
All right, so this was Sean Goodwin, Idaho Statesman. Perfectly fine question that anybody would have asked. What do you want to see improve from the quarterback play, if anything? Every quarterback has something to improve on, of course. No quarterback is perfect. But here is Sean Goodwin, Idaho Statesman, asking Dirk Koetter about the quarterback, Maddox Madsen.
You'd like to see Maddox improving specifically?
Maddox, specifically for him, he just let's see. We had stuff we were working on with all the quarterbacks. They're actually written on my board down there. Yeah, just call me old. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's working on stuff. That was a bad answer.
Just kind of weird. I mean, I know you don't want to divulge things or whatever else, but like you can't come up with one thing that Maddox Madsen needs to improve on.
That was actually more comical than I would have imagined, to be honest with you. I thought that Dirk kind of just would have kind of nonchalantly brushed it off.
He literally lost his train of thought or couldn't come up with something. And
a lot of
I know
things
someone says, "Oh, Dirk's not a big fan of yours, BJ." Yeah, I don't know. He was fine with a couple questions I asked yesterday.
I'm not.
I just don't think he. Oh, you got your setting on where we're getting the thumbs up there.
I'm sorry about that. I'm not reading too much into any of that, guys. Like, I just think that Dirk is there to coach football, and he's not really there to sugarcoat anything one way or the other. And if he doesn't like something, he just kind of moves on from it. Like, that's just kind of my opinion on it. I might be wrong, and I know that sometimes you'd really like him to elaborate on certain things more, but I just think that's the way that it is. So he's not here to do again, like I said, I would love it at times if he did, but like he's not really here to do interviews. He's here for the next. I mean, really, we're down to what, 2.5, 3 months here, depending on how long they play, I suppose. that he's here to be the offensive coordinator and help try to bridge a gap to the next generation. So
yeah, and I kind of like that about him. He doesn't have to recruit. He doesn't have to do any of that BS.
Yeah.
Deal with owners, deal with boosters. He just
yep.
coaches football, and he doesn't. I think he's fine and cordial. And I wouldn't say
Yes.
he hates doing media. I wouldn't say he dislikes me or any individual in person. He just, in my opinion, maybe he does, which is fine. No one has to like me. But I mean, I just think that's kind of his curmudgeon. I don't know, not curmudgeon is not a fair word. He comes down there, and I know Prater said it last week or 2 weeks ago, like, hey, you just beat Georgia Southern, you put up all these points, and he came to his press conference grumpy. He's my kind of guy or something. Like, that's just who Dirk Koetter is. I think he'd rather be up there watching film or doing something else than wasting 10 minutes talking to us. But I don't think it's anything personal or anything.
Yeah, I think it also shows, like, I mean, honestly, too, I think it's just like ultimate focus. Like, I really think, like, he's already, by the time Monday hits, he's probably already so far into what he's got to do to try to prepare and win a game this week that,
I did think it was a little odd. He couldn't come up with one thing that Maddox Madsen could improve on, though. Being honest.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, not even maybe. Sure. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I honestly, I think that just like that, it's not an easy situation to probably handle right now because everybody every week wants to know about it. And I actually thought Prater's question to Spencer Danielson yesterday was interesting, where he said, what is up with America's, infatuation with quarterbacks? Like,
that is a column coming to BroncoNationNews.com probably tonight or tomorrow. He's writing a story about the infatuation with quarterbacks.
And I figured that, I mean, he's usually pretty on point when he asks a pretty specific question like that, like there's something coming after that. And so I thought that was a pretty interesting question because, again, it's the cliche out there. They get too much credit when it's going good and too much blame when it's going bad. And to be honest with you, I feel like Maddox Madsen is yet to get any credit this season because everybody was still after him. Not everybody. It just seems like a lot of keyboard warriors were after him after the season opener when he did produce good stats in that game. So I don't know. I mean, like I said,
Nate Staley's comment here, though. He says, love Dirk, but it just feels like Madsen can't do anything wrong in his mind. Just seems the same critical lens isn't the same when it comes to Malachi.
I will almost guarantee you behind the scenes that's not the case. Like I said, Dirk's not here to sugarcoat anything. Like, he's here to coach people and coach them hard.
He does like Maddox Madsen a lot, though. That's pretty evident.
He does. But, like, okay, there's a reason why for it. Like I said, he's just not going to show up and play favorites to play favorites. Like, Maddox does a lot of good things right behind the scenes. And I know that fans might not like to hear that or it might not mean much to them, but like it's true. He's obviously the starting quarterback for a reason. And is he perfect? No, we've said that. Does he need to improve? Does the whole passing game need to improve? Yes, we've said that. But I just think that they clearly feel like he gives them the best situation or it puts them in the best position to win. And like I said, when it comes to not taking sacks and not turning the ball over, and yes, he's gotten a couple of lucky a couple of times with some drops off potential turnovers. But so far, like, that interception column still only reads, one at the moment. And so to go on the road,
only 1, too, right?
Sacks are only 1, 2, and that was even one where he tried to step up and escape the pocket, and he kind of got knocked from the side. So he has been sacked 1 time on 3rd down for a loss of 1 yard. And so, like, it literally, like, when it comes to sacks, like, probably the least harmful sack you could possibly take, a 1 yard sack on 3rd down for a 1 yard loss. And it was 3rd and long, by the way. So, he's done a good job in those regards. And I think that again, just carries a lot of value to this offense. And one other note that I was going to say, BJ, it's, man, like, you can't have it both ways. You can't, and I'm not saying all of, all the fans or everybody watching or whatever has wanted it both ways, but, like, you can't complain about the 2 quarterback system last year and then beg for a similar situation this year. Like, if anything, BJ, like, isn't it nice to have a little bit of clarity? Like, yes. Now going into this week, like last year, the same thing would have been said probably about Taylon Green, and Maddox Madsen would have came out and thrown 40 pass attempts against Portland State, and we would all just been in the press box with our hands in the air saying, what's going on? At least they're following the script this year where they say it, they stick to it, and we watch it on game day, and they're not trying to be deceiving in any type of way. So maybe I'll be wrong if somehow Malachi goes out there and plays a bunch on Saturday, but I just don't anticipate that. I think that internally, externally, a big focus is just being transparent and consistent. And that is something that this coaching staff has been so far, especially at the quarterback position.
Hey, I mentioned the Horseshoe Golden Ale beer, Jay. They're selling that again, and proceeds benefit the Horseshoe Collective for Boise State. But they are introducing the new Orange Chaos Seltzer from Western Collective, and it will be available Saturday for the home game against Portland State. So when you go to the game on Saturday, make sure you check out the Horseshoe Golden Ale and the Orange Chaos Seltzer, and a portion of every sale goes to the Horseshoe Collective to benefit the student athletes at Boise State. Our title sponsor is roepaint.com, roepaint.com. All your painting needs, that concrete coating for your basement, your back patio, your garage, interior, exterior residential painting. They can do it all your painting needs. Make sure you check out our title sponsor, roepaint.com. Mentioned this yesterday, but we're turning the tables. Tyson Degenhardt is going to be interviewing Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster from the Field of 68 on Thursday night's edition of the Tyson Degenhardt Show. That's going to be fun. Jeff Goodman, Rob Doster do a great job with the Field of 68, and they're going to come on and be the special guest with Tyson Degenhardt on the Tyson Degenhardt Show Thursday at 8 p.m. from Idaho Central Credit Union. Bauscher Real Estate, number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com, 243-8222. And again, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Check them out as well. 13 locations across the state of Idaho, the surrounding states. Get more information, download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off the checkout line at shopridleys.com. Snake River Pool and Spa, thespateam.com. Been around since 1978, part of the Boise State home team. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Again, you looking for a hot tub or a spa, they got you covered. A sauna, they got you covered. A pool table for the game room, yep, they've got that too. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game. Check them out online at thespateam.com. And of course, that fall kickoff sale is going on at Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out as well, lithiafordboise.com. View that full inventory of vehicles. And again, they got 6 student athletes at Boise State, 4 football players rocking vehicles from Lithia Ford of Boise. You can return the favor. Next car or truck, make sure you purchase it from Lithia Ford of Boise. They got the all new Lightnings. They got the Mach-E Mustangs. They got the F-150s. Oh, so many great options. Make sure you check them out. Again, view that full inventory of vehicles online, lithiafordboise.com, or check them out in person right there on Fairview in Boise. All right, Jay, I announced this earlier at the beginning of the show. For better or worse, we'll find out. But we have now have the technology where we can take voicemails. We're not going to go straight to live calls yet. That may be a bad idea on the post-game show after folks have been drinking a little bit. But we're going to have the ability for folks to leave essentially a voicemail, and then we can play that back on the show once it's been screened and listened to, and get people's thoughts on the game, on what's going on, and actually hear their voice in it, maybe a little different than just reading a comment off of YouTube. So the web address is speakpipe.com/BNN. It is super easy. We've tested it out, speakpipe.com/BNN. Probably can't take any more on today's show just because I won't be able to listen to them, but I put it out there about 8:15 this morning, and we had one from our man Brian, and it's actually about the quarterback situation. Brian, I love you, by the way, but no F-bombs. I have to cut it off for the last 3 words because I know you were excited at the end here, but I cannot play the let's effing go at the end. So just use your imagination on that. But with that said, here is Brian's first voicemail. We'll see if this works, and this is history here. We do have a sponsor of this coming. We'll tell you more about that later, but the voicemails, here's what Brian says, and then, Jay, let me know what you think.
Hey, Bronco Nation News. This is Bronco Fan 94 on Twitter, or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. Hey, BJ, I don't think you're stirring the pot with this quarterback controversy or anything like that. I think they need to stick with Maddox Madsen there. And honestly, I don't think we need to see much more than maybe a 60% completion rating and a couple, maybe 3 touchdowns a game on average. That's really all we need. That, no turnovers. Other than that, feed my man The Rock. Ash and Jenny for Heisman. Let's fucking go.
Oh, I didn't get it off my house. All right. Sorry about that. I apologize. I thought there was another word in there. So, all right.
BJ, I'm not gonna lie. You might be okay because I don't know if anybody could. You guys hear that? Because I could not hear that.
I didn't get it. I heard the word before I cut it off.
No. I mean, even the voicemail.
Oh, you didn't hear it at all?
No. So I don't know if fans.
Did anyone else hear it? Oh, I wonder if. Yeah, people heard it.
Okay, I don't know why I didn't.
Everyone else is laughing.
Okay, I didn't hear it. I don't know why.
Okay, it worked. That's weird. I'll have to look into that if you couldn't hear it. Basically, he said Tequila said oh, we did. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. I apologize for anyone watching with their kids. That's not the kind of morning show we're trying to have there, so I couldn't get it off fast enough. I do apologize. Okay, we got about 50 people. We got you. You heard it. Thanks. The point was, he said, we're not stirring it up with the quarterback controversy. It's a real deal. But he also said Maddox is the guy. And he said he just won 60% completion percentage and only a couple, maybe 3 touchdowns a game and no interceptions. So he's asking for a lot from his quarterback there. But his main point was just don't screw it up. Keep feeding the ball to Ashton Genty. And then he said Genty for Heisman. And then, he said a little profane. He was fired up, a little profane language at the end. And again, apologize for that.
Man, I think you look around the Mountain West right now, man, and I don't know who's getting outstanding quarterback play, in all honesty. And you even look over at UNLV. I mean, you want to see a bad completion percentage, check out their QB. It's like 40% on the season, and that's 3 games in. And I don't even know if he's been above 50% in a game this season. But at the same time, they're praising that dude because he's winning football games. I mean, his stat line wasn't anything to, call home about in terms of passing against Kansas, right, BJ?
No,
he did have a few nice runs though, which was a big difference. But what's the difference between your quarterback making those runs or just turning around and handing it off to 2 and watching him go for over 200 yards? So I don't know, man. Like I maybe it's just a theme in the Mountain West this year. I guess BJ is that there's not gonna. I don't know who's gonna be first team quarterback. I mean, even Fowler Nicolosi. Like I feel like that guy kind of.
How'd that guy get a $600,000 offer from Kansas?
I don't know, man. And I know he's pretty young, and he still's got a lot of room to grow, and I get that. I totally do. But he's upwards of 600 career pass attempts, so it's not like he's just getting into a football game here. But 600 career pass attempts with 24 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. So Colorado State needs more out of that guy if they want to have a good season.
Avery Potter says, so we want to have UNLV's quarterback expectations.
Yeah, I see you there, Avery. Maybe I shaped that wrong. I guess just what I'm saying is that you just don't hear a lot of complaining about their QB because they're 3-0. And
again, if they had won the Oregon game, there wouldn't have been a single word. I mean, well, maybe a single word, but it would have been a much different narrative about Maddox Madsen if that field goal misses and they win the game, or if they score, on the previous drive.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is especially when you compare him to like a guy like Fowler Nicolosi. I mean, Maddox is still pretty young, just made his 3rd career start. And, I mean, in all honesty, though, some of these excuses are going to expire. And that is the case. Like I said, not long ago or earlier this morning, this Boise State passing game, if they want to be a legit college football playoff contender, they can't go, 17 of 40 on game day. Like, you can't do that. But, I'll bring it up. Like, even looking at like my alma mater and watching John Mateer play, like, he's not a guy that has a high completion percentage, and he's down near 50% for the season. He uses his legs quite a bit, but they don't have Ashton Genty in the backfield, and so it's not sexy, man. It's not. But like the things that Maddox does just to put this team in this offense in a good situation, you'll take it. And even you look at 56 points in the season opener, the most that Boise State's had in a game since 2019. 34 points at Oregon, I believe. I don't have my notes in front of me, BJ, but I believe that's tied for the most that Ducks have allowed at home since 2001. So it's not like they've had bad point totals at the end of this thing. And at the end of the day, that's what should count. That's what matters, is how many points you score, because more points give you a better opportunity to win a football game.
Alexander Lambert says, yeah, but don't forget Cooper is where was her first one? Don't forget Cooper from San Diego State is the better back.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of hilarious.
And Oregon State has 2 Genties too, right?
Yeah, they got 2 Genties that rushed for about a third of the amount of yards that Genty did against the same opponent the week prior, on the road, by the way. Boise State was at home, excuse me. Oregon was on the road at Oregon State, so they had home field advantage on their side. And yeah, people just better not. It's safe just to not take on Ashton Genty this year in any way, shape, or form. Just find somebody else to compare it to. And you know what? Number 2, meaning number 2 on the list behind Ashton Genty, go ahead and argue that role, because that's a pretty good position too.
Again, thanks to Brian for seeing the the tweet this morning being first on the voicemail. Let's try to avoid the profanity if we can moving forward. Just makes it a little easier. I don't have to edit it or probably just not play it if there's profanity on there. So leave us a voicemail. If you want to get them in today at some point, we'll play a couple on tomorrow's show as well. Just kind of a new thing we're trying here. But again, Brian, thanks for being the first one to test it out there. And Jay, we'll have to figure out why you were unable to hear that at some point.
Sorry about
I'll
that.
test that out in the future. All right, Jay, anything else? I do want to get, we have about 15 minutes left. I do want to get to the Pac-12. And any final thoughts on just the team, the game against Portland State on Saturday? Anything else? Home opener there. They are the last team in the country to have a game at home. We'll probably dive into more of that on Friday's show. But any final thing, non-Pac-12 related before we move on?
Not really. Just the fact that definitely thankful that this game's going to take place on Saturday because I got back home here in Seattle, Tacoma on Saturday, and then kind of looking at things. And Portland State's got a game canceled. I'm like, how did they cancel a game? Oh, they got whooping cough. Like, what are we back in 2020? Like, what is going on here? And so that kind of left the scrambling there for a minute, but it ends up being no news is good news, and that game is going to be played. So Boise State's just got to go out there, man. And I mean, important game in its own right because they need to go take care of business. They need to make this look like a premier, group of 5 team is taking on an FCS team, and the score can't be 38-21 even on Saturday. You got to go hang 50 on these dudes and not let them score a lot themselves.
Yeah. No doubt. When we'll dive in more to the actual matchup in the game, what we want to see on Friday's show. But there are some reports starting to circle and rumor about the next wave of expansion after the Pac-12 news, and we will get to that here in a matter of moments. But do want to thank Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. This is a Taco Bell Tuesday. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. Get more information on all of their charitable giving efforts, the hundreds of thousands of dollars they've committed to student-athlete scholarships for the men's and women's basketball teams at Boise State. They're hiring as well, and you get information on the website there. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. And again, free food while you work. You get promotional opportunities, half your wages the next day after your shift. So a lot of great things going on. We appreciate the SON Management Group and the Nicolason family. Check them out. Taco Bell, one of the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations. Speaking of looking for a job, Transportation Compliance Service can help you out. Transcomservice.com. You can get into the trucking industry. It's a nice booming industry right now. And if you want to be on your own out there on the open road, let them help you get started. Again, the website, transcomservice.com. It's a national company based here in the Treasure Valley. Check them out, transcomservice.com. If you're going to the game Saturday or going down to the tailgates and need some new Boise State gear, check out the Blue and Orange Store. The blueandorangestore.com has the best selection at the best prices of all your Boise State gear. They've got the official coaches sideline apparel. They've got the hats. They've got the jerseys, the new jerseys, that is. All the NIL gear as well, the Ashton-Genty Heisman shirt, your favorite, players, jerseys, all that good stuff. Again, you can order anywhere in the world online at theblueandorangestore.com, or you can just go to the Boise Town Square Mall on the second floor next to Perimage. Again, thanks to Travis Hawks, the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Jay, hopefully next Monday, folks will be able to go get that coffee or fountain drink for 91 cents. They got it after the Oregon game, thanks to Ahmed Hassanin's first sack of the season. Every Monday, following a game in which Ahmed Hassanin gets a sack, you get a coffee or soda, any size, for 91 cents, thanks to our friends at Jackson's. And hopefully this will be the game we see Breezy Dubar get back out there as well. The Breezy Bundle, $1 for a hot dog and a soda on a Tuesday after Breezy Dubar scores a touchdown. So keep that in mind as well. And don't forget, every hot dog sold 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, whenever you buy a hot dog at Jackson's, 25 cents goes to the Horseshoe Collective to help the student athletes at Boise State. So that's a big time commitment. If you're looking for, next time you're kind of walking through Jackson's and you see the hot dogs there, grab one and 25 cents, and that adds up. You may think, 25 cents. That adds up. All that money goes to the Horseshoe Collective and what Joe Nichols doing there. So appreciate our friends at Jackson's. They will be sponsoring tonight's Riley and Ridge show. Make sure you check out tonight, 8 p.m. Weather permitting, we'll be out on the patio. We may be inside. We'll let you know later. But they got some good guests planned. Riley Smith, Kent Riddle. Every week they seem to top it with previous shows, and we're having a lot of fun with the guests that they've had, and they're bringing in former players. And I know they have some big-time guests confirmed here for the future weeks coming up here. So Riley Smith, Kent Riddle, Riley and Ridge show presented by Jackson's. It's a mixture of kind of current Boise State talk, but a lot of just stories and going down memory lane with former players, former coaches. Make sure you check it out, 8 p.m. tonight on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. And I also want to mention Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com. Check them out as well. Leanfeastmeridian.com, 10,000 plus combinations of healthy eating options. And again, chicken, shrimp, steak, fish, turkey, you name it. You pick how much you want. You pick what you want. You get your protein, your veggie, your carb, and they package it up for you. It's good in your refrigerator for 5 days. Only takes 2 minutes in the microwave. So you go on a Monday, get your meals for the week, take them to work with you. Perfect lunch option. And again, they now deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley, so no excuse to not eat healthy with our friends at Lean Feast. All right, Jay, and again, we got another nice viewership here. We got almost 200 of you watching on YouTube alone. If you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to our YouTube channel, we would really appreciate that as we continue to grow the channel here. And Jay, we've been growing the channel big time in the last week or so since the announcement came about the Pac-12. That's certainly an exciting thing for fans, and we're seeing different reports, different things, and it's a conflicting information, and that's just kind of how this always goes. I mean, you hear directly from Scott Barnes, the Oregon State athletic director, that yes, it's a requirement. You have to play football to come in this league. Then you listen to podcasts and things and hear, very well-connected people like Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish on the college basketball podcast yesterday say, no, they've both been told that's not a requirement, and maybe he just misspoke or is trying to play his hand, close or whatever. But no, Gonzaga is still firmly a possibility for this league. That's not true. So there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. Air Force, I guess those are kind of the reports right now. Air Force, according to Pete Thamel and others, is talking to the AAC, which I think makes a ton of sense. Get them in the same conference with the other service academies. That makes a lot of sense. You have Tulane and Memphis potentially, being the leaders, I guess you could say right now. UNLV is still kind of floating out there. I mentioned Gonzaga. We haven't even gotten your thoughts. Friday was kind of a weird show. We were at Lithia 4 doing an event for them with some players, and so we didn't get a chance to have you on Friday. I guess before we dive into what's next, I guess just your quick thoughts on the Pac-12 coming back, and you're a Pac-12 guy, obviously, and I know it doesn't look the same as it did, when you were a student at Washington State, obviously, but Boise State, is going to have that Pac-12 logo on the blue here in a couple of years. Your thoughts?
I think it's a great move for Boise State because now what you've done is you've left what, man, I've enjoyed the Mountain West. There's great people at the Mountain West. There have been great games in the Mountain West and outstanding coaches that have gone on to, go to Power 5 programs and things like that. But for me, BJ, you leave the watered down portion of the league behind. And now the Pac-12 will be in a situation where they're only going to add teams that will increase the value of the conference, right? So they don't have the pressure to go out and bring a San Jose State. They're going to go after what I think the A-list is going after Tulane and going after Memphis. And from there, do they decide to push further east and go after South Florida? Getting into every single time zone across the country. I think that they'll look at Texas, a school in Texas eventually as well. I just think it's kind of comical, some of the things you hear, BJ, to go back to your initial point. And there's a lot of people reporting a lot of things right now. And I think at your heart, who your trusted resources are. And there are people out there that just they can throw whatever at the wall because they don't have a lot to lose and they want to see retweets and things like that more so than they really care about being accurate. Sure. But for me, I just think trust your trusted resources right now. I don't anybody that wants to speculate about like a Cal or Stanford getting in back right now. I just think that the potential of that is so far down the road that
the only way that happens is if the ACC absolutely implodes.
Yeah,
which would cause conference chaos everywhere else too.
It would be. I think that you'd almost phrase it this way, BJ. It would be their last resort. Mm-hmm. Though I think the way that I just I heard some or I just saw some of that on social media and. I'm not as feisty at calling people out as you are, my friend. You like to mix it up every now and then. Don't act surprised. Come on,
social media is for, man. You got to have a little fun.
That's fine.
I wish I had a sarcasm font because a lot of times that's what it is, and sometimes it gets taken the wrong way. But social media, I like to have a little fun on there.
I'm not being critical of you. I'm just saying that you're a little more feisty than me. That's all I'm saying. It's a matter of fact.
I'll take that. I guess I'll take that.
And I think another matter of fact is like it's really funny because in the press, we heard about a bunch of like-minded individuals. And then after the news broke, like every AD involved just wanted to use the word like-minded. When I spoke with Jeremiah Dickey, he mentioned it as well. I mean, like, just look at it this way, folks. Like, and I phrased it this way on Twitter, just kind of throwing out a quote unquote random thought. do Cal and Stanford seem like they're like-minded to Oregon State, Washington State, Fresno State, Boise State, San Diego State, and Colorado State?
No.
The answer is no. The answer is no. And I mean, those are presidents that, for the most part, in the past, made athletic decisions based off of academics. And at one point in time, man, that was fine in my book and whatever. But in the NIL era, where there's the transfer portal and athletes are getting paid, like, student athlete is just kind of becoming a cute label. It's not. It doesn't describe what these guys completely are. At least football, man. What some of these football players are making. I mean, like I said, Boise State 2 weeks ago, they faced a team where their quarterback was making more than Boise State's head coach. I mean, so you can no longer make athletic decisions based off of academics. And those two schools wanted to do that, and it's what led to what was almost the demise of the Pac-12. Like, they've obviously found a way to keep it alive, but it's just going to look massively different because of, presidents at those schools, right?
Yeah.
So I would just be very skeptical of seeing that thrown out there. Like, make sure you know who's tweeting that before you maybe read into that, in my opinion.
Cough, UNLV reporter, cough, Boise says.
There's
been a lot of different thoughts and things. I will say this: I have seen numerous reports that it's a little overblown, the whole UNLV Nevada being tied at the hip thing. I still think UNLV in my crystal ball, Jay, if I had to pick, I think UNLV ends up in this Pac-12. I mean, you're seeing I was reading it from our man Chris Murray with the Reno Sportsnet there, and he had my mailbag yesterday with some really good stuff on all this, and he said, "Hey, look, they've been in different conferences pretty much the entire time. Like, one was in the WAC, one was in Mountain. Like, they've been going back and forth. Now they're in the same conference, but that has not always been the case. And there was never any issues previously with the, state board or regents or whoever they have there that decide all this. So he did not see that being a big hurdle at all for UNLV. And if Chris Murray's saying that, he's tied in there with Nevada, I'm going to take that. So if that's the case, I think UNLV ends up in this league. And then let's just say I would love Memphis. I think Memphis does a lot of good. Tulane, nothing against Tulane, just doesn't do a whole lot for me. Like, it's fine if you want to add them, get another Central Time Zone team. Like, I don't hate it. I just don't think I'm not as excited about Tulane as I am maybe a UNLV and a Memphis. But if you need to have another Central Time Zone or a little further east team to kind of balance out a little bit for some of the travel partners, maybe for soccer and volleyball and some of those, and you want to go Tulane and Memphis, I guess I'm okay with Tulane. Memphis, love it. Excited about it. Football team is doing well right now. Basketball team, with Penny Hardaway. And again, you have to project for these things, Jay, as you know, you want to do what's right now, but obviously, that's the thing with Gonzaga. Like, Mark Few's not staying at Gonzaga for the next 50 years. Like, at some point you have to project what are these programs going to be in 10, 15 years, not just what are they exactly right now. But with that said, I think Gonzaga makes a lot of sense for basketball. Would love to see Gonzaga. Prater kind of said hard no to St. Mary's, which I kind of, the more you think about it, again, once Randy Bennett leaves, like, what's St. Mary's really going to be? So Gonzaga, I think, has more of a chance. They've built that brand that whoever, and the money they have now, that they would go in and get a, legit Power 5 type head coach that would come in and keep it rolling at Gonzaga. I feel pretty good about saying that. So I think Gonzaga would be a huge, if you get Gonzaga, San Diego State, Memphis in the same basketball conference, and then you're talking about, Boise State, Colorado State, some of these up-and-coming teams as well, teams that are, doing well right now. They don't have the, the long, 30-plus year history, but a basketball league with Memphis, Gonzaga, and San Diego State is a really nice place to start. And then you throw in some other teams, you would be the, a premier basketball league, even more so than the Mountain West was last year, because you just don't have the dead weight at the bottom. And so I think that would be huge. But I also, like I said, Memphis brings something to the table in football as well. And I don't think that would be a negative. And again, by the way, UNLV, I know they've had some down years in basketball, but they've won a national championship. They have a national brand. If you throw UNLV into that with, San Diego State, Gonzaga, and Memphis, I mean, that's 4 name programs. Basketball will be great. I know football is what drives this, but that's where I think Memphis brings some value. Tulane maybe brings some value. But I guess my long way around this is, if you had to guess right now what ends up happening, I would think that you get to 9 schools, which they said they're looking at, would be UNLV, Tulane, and Memphis. If that happens on the football side, is that good enough for you? Is that, and then I guess if they were able to throw cherry on the top with Gonzaga to get to 10 basketball teams, what would you think?
I'll start with Gonzaga. When I heard Oregon State's AD say that football was a requirement, that actually did kind of catch me off guard, because my understanding that might not be the case.
I was bummed when I heard that, because I was like, well,
yeah.
that stinks. And then luckily I heard that's probably not true.
Correct me if I'm wrong here too, BJ, but I believe he also said that a big reason why they went from 2 to 6 right now is because they want these 4 teams. They wanted these 4 teams in the conference, and now they want all 6 to be making the decisions moving forward.
Yep.
So I do think that Oregon State's AD carries a ton of weight. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the conference commissioner at the same time. So
he's now 1 of 6 instead of 1 of 2 making this decision. Yes.
Right. So that becomes a little more difficult. Now, would Washington State want Gonzaga, in their same league? Because Washington State kind of claims that Spokane market. Do you really need 2 teams in the Spokane market? So there are definitely some discussions that have to be had when it comes to those things. But overall, I do think that they should take a really, really hard look at adding Gonzaga. Now, that being said, I think what it really means is that the football decisions have to be made first, and then you evaluate basketball. That just is what it is. Like, basketball is a profitable sport. It's one of the few in the NCAA that are, but it pales in comparison to football. So you have to get your football ducks in a row first, and then you can make this, evaluate decisions based off of basketball and where you want to go there. I said it before. I like Memphis. I do like Tulane. Tulane's got good academics too. I think you find a way to push into Texas in some way, shape, or form, man. Like I think that's such a valuable state. I do, and
I just don't like any of the options. I don't like any of the options.
They're not great, man. You're looking at Rice. You're looking at UTSA. But what would be wrong with going at UT San Antonio?
UTSA is probably the one. I don't want Texas State. Don't need Texas State. Don't need North Texas.
No.
Not enamored by Rice.
But you get into San Antonio. That's a good media market, man. So all of a sudden, I think that they increase your value there. I do think that UNLV will be a player at some point in time, but I just don't think they are at the top of the list of figuring them out. I think you figure out your other couple, and then you evaluate UNLV. And the reason why I'll just say that is, man, Las Vegas used to only be UNLV, right, BJ? Like that's all that it was. And now the pro teams have taken a huge spotlight, and another pro team, the MLB, is on the way here in the near future, right? So, and then you hear basketball is looking, the NBA is looking to expand, and that Vegas could be a target. And so all of a sudden, man, UNLV starts to get knocked way down the totem pole, and that market does get a little oversaturated, right? And I guess the final point that I'll make on UNLV, actually, I got 2 final points. One is, you don't need UNLV to utilize Vegas. Other conferences have shown that. Big 12 hosted their media days in Vegas this year. They don't have a team in Nevada. In years past, the Pac-12, something that was originally established by Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson, is hosting conference tournaments and things in Vegas. Well, the Pac-12 brought their basketball tournament to Vegas. They've hosted media days this last year in Las Vegas. So they play their football conference championship game in Las Vegas. So they don't necessarily need UNLV to be in Las Vegas as well. So that I just think that's an interesting thing to analyze. Now, the one thing that I will argue for UNLV's favor is that their football program is on the way up, and it feels like Barry Odom is committed there it feels like he's committed there, and right now he is bringing success at a very, very opportune time. And if they can sustain that and finish at the top of the Mountain West again this year, then all of a sudden they really are going to kind of start to force maybe the Pac-12's hand and say, hey, you need to consider us even more than what you were considering.
Yeah, and I know you got to go, but this guy says UNLV not having their own stadium is a turnoff for me. Playing in one of the nicest stadiums in the entire United States, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, is a turnoff for Blake here. I'm sorry, Blake. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I think, Blake, if you're a recruit there, you might say that because they don't get to utilize the stadium that much. But if in terms of a spectator, like that's where you get to go to watch games.
I think a player loves playing in the same stadium where
Oh,
two days after Boise State's playing UNLV, they get to see Patrick Mahomes on
Hey,
the same field.
all I'm saying is it's not like they get to utilize that stadium on game day. Like I don't even know if they have their own locker rooms there, BJ. Like
Yeah.
it is not something. It's not a play. Like I don't even know. Like they don't. I don't think they host scrimmages or anything inside that venue. So I'm just saying, if you were a player, yes, you get to play in there on game days, but it's not like you're utilizing that facility, an NFL facility, every day of the week. But as a fan, that's where you go to watch games. Like
No
I don't know, that would be a great place to watch games.
No doubt. All right, Jay, appreciate your time,
Yeah.
man. We'll see you at practice. We'll see you at interviews this week, and then we'll talk to you and dive into more of this on Friday. I do have another voicemail, so I'll keep the show going a little bit, and we'll play that. But we appreciate you, Jay, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Sounds good, brother.
There he is, Jay Tuss, sports director at KTVB. Make sure you're checking out KTVB and all their various newscasts and things. As I said, yes, we can take voicemails now. And BSU Bill, appreciate you. I know at times you kind of we joke around on here, but BSU Bill has put a voicemail in the system here, and I think you guys can hear this. So again, the webpage is on the top of the it's pinned comment there on YouTube. It is speakpipe.com/BNN. Speakpipe.com/BNN. We'll take one more voicemail today and then get your voicemails in for tomorrow's show, and then definitely get them in for the post-game show. We'll take a lot of your comments on the post-game show on Saturday with Brad Bedell and Kent Riddle on the post-game show. So if you have a question for Riley or Rid, we could probably do that for tonight too, but get them in after the show and we'll get them on tomorrow's show. But BSU Bill, we do have his voicemail here. Let's go ahead and play BSU Bill.
Hey, BJ. This is BSU Bill. Two thoughts here. One, on the Portland State game this weekend. I really want to see Dirk emphasize getting the passing game going. I think there's going to be a game, probably one or two at some point later in the season, where the run game's not going to be as effective as it has been, and you're going to need the passing game to get going and win us the game. And I think it's good opportunity in games like Portland State to get those live reps, get Madsen more confidence, get the receivers going, because we are going to need them to win at least one, probably two games at some point, again, because teams will sell out to stop Genty. And if we don't have an effective passing game, we're going to be in trouble. Second, just kind of thoughts on the overall quarterback situation. This weekend, I think you have to get Malachi some reps in the second half, assuming that we're smoking Portland State. Not in the context of play him to test him and see if he's better than Madsen, but just to get him live reps. Again, football's a violent game. Hopefully this doesn't happen. None of us want this to happen, but let's say Madsen does get hurt at some point later in the season. I personally, as a fan, I'm sure Malachi as the quarterback and other people would like to have had Malachi have some live reps before he does get thrown into the fire. If that does happen, God forbid, with an injury. So to be honest, I think it'd be pretty poor coaching if you don't play him this week. Again, assuming that we're beating Portland State, and no, not playing him to have him overtake Madsen, but simply to get him live reps. Thanks. Appreciate it.
There you go, BSU Bill. Appreciate
Hey,
the
BJ. This is BSU Bill. Two thoughts here. One, on the Portland State game this weekend. I really want to see Dirk emphasize getting the passing.
There we go. Sorry about that. We are still learning out how to do this. But yeah, we can now take your voicemails. We can still continue to take your comments. But if you would like to get your voicemail in, you can now do that. And we'll play that moving forward. We have a new sponsor coming for that. Pretty cool thing we're going to tell you about moving forward. But yeah, we can now take voicemails. Pretty cool. So thanks to Brian and BSU Bill for being the first two to jump in with the voicemails today. Get it in throughout the day today or by probably 8:45 tomorrow morning. If you can get it in by 8:45 tomorrow morning, we can get those on the air. We got great points, Bill. Agree 100%. Great voicemail takes, Bill. So everyone's loving Bill. Yeah, he forgot to leave his callback number, so he tried to call back again. Yeah, there he is. Thanks, BSU Bill. Appreciate you, man. Great comment. I agree with a lot of what you said. I do think that the just keep it clean and on point. I agree. That was a perfect voicemail. You gave us your takes and you kept it clean, and it was good, great, hard-hitting analysis, and you got right to the point. So appreciate that, Bill. Would love to continue to do this. And again, post-game show is probably going to be the big one, but we're happy to play some of these during the shows as well and kind of have a new little interactive thing where you guys can get your thoughts in. So do it today. Get it in by 8:45 tomorrow. any thoughts you have on quarterbacks, Portland State, Pac-12, who you want, who you don't want, let us get those in. And again, we have a link on it on BroncoNationNews.com, but the easy website is just speakpipe.com/BNN. But I like what you're saying there. The one thing I will say is you guys just know how it works. Yes, you want to get Malachi Nelson live reps. Yes, in the second half they need to get him live reps. Yes, but again, if Malachi Nelson goes out in the second half and throws 8 for 9 passing for 110 yards and throws a touchdown, on the post-game show and all the next week, there's going to be people wanting him to be the starter and saying, oh, look at the potential, put him in. Like, Boise State's kind of in a tough spot here. Like, if they want to give him reps, I agree. If you do have an injury or something, you'd like to get him in there if you can, but all you're doing is open it up for controversy and other things if he plays well, I guess. And if you're just doing it in mop-up duty, Keaton says he fears they're going to overcompensate in order to avoid the controversy, which means not play him. I think that is certainly possible. I do. Whether that's the right move or not, they know what's going on. I think that they are digging in a little bit on Maddox Madsen right now. I certainly think it feels like Dirk Koetter is. And so I think to avoid some of that controversy and that issue, maybe they decide not to play him, or they put him in for the last drive when he can just run the ball for 3 plays or something. I would be surprised if at halftime Malachi Nelson comes out and he's starting the second half, even if it's 42-7, and they just let Malachi Nelson run the offense for a half. I know that's what Prater and some other folks want. I just don't see that happening. He's going to get a couple series maybe later in the game, but if you're up 55-10 when he comes in the game, he ain't throwing the ball all over the field. Maybe on a third down, if they need to get a first down, he can throw a pass here and there, but I think for the most part, you're going to see him handing the ball off when he comes into the game. So, again, people say it's stirring the pot, it's whatever. It's clear right now they like Maddox Madsen. They think Maddox Madsen is the best guy for the job. We'll see as more data comes in, more practice data, more game data, if that changes the coaches' minds. But right now, you heard Spencer Danielson say it yesterday, Maddox Madsen is the starter, and so we'll take it at that. Maddox Madsen's the starter. Coaches think he's the best guy. We'll say he's the best guy, and then we'll move forward and see what it looks like after that. So again, and I agree. I totally agree. I trust Dirk Koetter's decision process over any fan or media clatter. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. If Dirk Koetter says Maddox Madsen should be the guy, then that's what we're going with. Maddox Madsen should be the guy. We get to watch a little bit of practice time, but we're not in the meetings. We're not in the walkthroughs. We're not in every second of every practice. So we can't come in and say that. So obviously they think Maddox is the best guy, and that's who they're going with. But I am curious in the second half, if they get a big lead, do they let Malachi in? And when they let him in, is it at a point in the game where they can still let him throw the ball and run a normal offense, or is he only in there to hand the ball off for a couple plays at the end? And is there any thought of not wanting to create a quarterback controversy by letting him throw the ball and play well, if they still believe that Maddox Madsen is definitely better no matter what happens in the second half with Nelson? Maybe you don't want to open yourself up to that and you don't give him the opportunity to throw the ball or to look good. I don't know. So that's going to be an interesting one that we'll be following moving forward. So again, appreciate you guys for checking out the show. Get your voicemails in. We'll keep trying that feature moving forward here. Again, the website is speakpipe.com/BNN. It's pinned at the top of the YouTube channel. Get your voicemails in throughout the day. Get it in by 8:45 tomorrow, and we'll get them aired on the shows here, a new feature, and we'll continue to have some fun and play with that as we move forward here. Don't forget, tonight, 8 o'clock, tonight is the Riley and Ridge show. It's going to be a good show. They're still confirming the guests, so I'm not able to announce that yet. I know some folks were asking, but 8 p.m. tonight, Kent Riddle and Riley Smith. They'll have some guests. Come watch the show, guys. Like, I know we get 200 plus of you right now on YouTube, and then Riley and Ridge starts, and I look up and there's a lower viewership. So not sure why that is. This show is better than my show. I mean, if you're liking the show right now, you're going to have even more fun listening to Riley and Rid. They tell all kinds of great, funny stories, and usually a couple drinks are flowing and the stories get good. And you definitely don't want to miss Riley and Rid. Tonight, 8 p.m., former players, former coaches, great stories. And again, they talk a little current football, but it's mostly just stories and stuff about the past, and it's great stuff. So we'll be live at at the James Kitchen and Bar. And again, you can join us for the pregame show at the James Kitchen and Bar as well. 7:45 game on Saturday. I think we'll be live at 5 o'clock. If you want to join us 5 o'clock from the James Kitchen and Bar on Saturday, we'll be out on the patio at 5 o'clock on Saturday with the pregame show, and looking forward to hanging out. And then the postgame show, Kent Riddle, Brad Bedell will be on the postgame show. I will join them after the interviews, but make sure our headquarters for home games is the James Kitchen and Bar. We're over at House of Western Collective, and the National Bar for the away games. That's where you go for the away game watch parties, but the home games, we're at the James Kitchen and Bar right across the street from the stadium. So make plans to come tonight for Riley and Rid, and the offer still stands. If you come to the show tonight and you ask a question in person, you get a free beverage on BNN. I'll buy you a beer, I'll buy you a cocktail, whatever you want, if you come and listen to the show and ask a question on air. We have 10 people that show up. I'll buy 10 drinks. I don't care. So there's a speaker so you can hear the show good. It's good audio, and it's always a fun time to come hang out in person. Weather permitting, we'll be out on the patio. We may have to move it inside. Stay tuned on that. But again, thanks to Jackson's for sponsoring Riley and Rid. And then again, make sure on Saturday you make plans at 5 o'clock to join us at the James Kitchen and Bar. Rid, Bedell, the whole crew will be there, and then we'll be on the post-game show there as well. So going to be fun over there at the James Kitchen and Bar. Let's see. A lot of good comments coming in. Riley and Rid is good. There you go. Appreciate that. If they don't have a guest, they can just call Bronco Bill. Yeah, I thought Bronco Bill was very good there. Yeah, that was awesome. Let's see. A lot of other comments coming in on the quarterback situation and everything else, but appreciate you guys for checking us out. Interviews are at 11:15, so I got to get down to Boise State here pretty soon for the interviews. We'll get those posted to the BNN YouTube channel afterwards. Again, our studio sponsor, Western Collective. Make sure you check out the Horseshoe Golden Ale, but also their new seltzer, Orange Chaos. The new seltzer will be available in Albertson Stadium for the home opener on Saturday. Orange Chaos seltzer, don't miss it. The Horseshoe Golden Ale beer as well. And again, our title sponsor is ropaint.com. All your painting needs, check them out, roepaint.com. Those concrete coatings, I highly recommend them right now, and it's a perfect time of year with the weather cooling down to get that done. To Taco Bell Tuesday, go check out Taco Bell. And my kids love the cheesy roll-ups, the slushies, all the great stuff they have there at Taco Bell. And it's cheap, it's affordable, it's fast. Great spot to take your family, before or after flag football practice or baseball practice. You need to run through the drive-thru somewhere, make sure it's Taco Bell. And again, they are hiring, so check out TacoBellWorks.com for more information on applying for a job at one of the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations. So thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to you guys. Go get your voicemail in. We'll play it on tomorrow's show. And appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Interviews coming this afternoon to the BNN YouTube channel. We'll see you at 8 o'clock tonight for Riley and Rid at the James Kitchen and Bar. And then Brad Bedell will join me 9 a.m. tomorrow. Great stuff coming from Brad Bedell on the Pac-12 realignment. The Portland State game on Saturday. You don't want to miss Brad Bedell at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So get your voicemails in, your questions for Brad, whatever you got. And we'll talk to you guys later. Riley and Rid coming up 8 o'clock tonight. We'll see you there. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.